Welcome back to another episode.
Hey, hey, hey.
Ferris is with us again.
I am. You know, I'm ready for Brandon to come back.
Already?
I enjoy this, but at the same time, he does a much better job. Just saying.
He'll be back soon.
That's the truth. We miss you, Brandon. We miss you, old Din Din.
Din.
Din Din. So before we get started, like, subscribe, comment. All right. Let us know how you feel. Click the link below on our link tree and help us out. Support the show by spending your hard-earned cash in that wallet. We need it. And you don't have to spend much, you know, $5, $10, $15, $20, $105, whatever.
There's some cool
$273.27, like to be exact.
$300,000, whatever you feel like it.
Yep. What's been up to, man?
Working.
Oh, what's that?
Work, hard labor, work. I don't want to.
I'm gonna pretend like I don't have a job, by the way, just because I feel like in this day and age, if you don't have a job, you're a lot luckier. Maybe that's wrong. I don't know.
They seem happier.
I put in so how many hours a week do you say you put in on a regular basis just to make a paycheck? You're a freelance like everything. So what's
hard to say? It could be a week where I put in 38 hours. I could have put in 50 hours, or I could only put in 28 hours. It depends on the job, what's going on.
Yeah.
I might work a day where I'm only there 5 hours. The next day I might be there 10 hours.
So if I take into account just what I make a paycheck in, I'm probably at about 45, 50 hours, which is pretty good. I mean, you know, pretty average. And
can I just say, sorry, finish what you were going to say.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just because stay home doesn't mean you don't have busy stuff to do, and doesn't necessarily mean happier. I guarantee if you guys were at home and you didn't have a job to go to, you'd probably go up the wall crazy.
No, not me. No. I could be the Mr. Mom. I could do that.
I want something to do, but it don't have to be go to work.
Yeah. And Mary, I was talking about like paying gig, and I know being a mom, the reward you get is like payment. I get it because you raise your kids. I'm not disputing that. I'm talking about what actually pays. I'm actually talking about what pays.
It doesn't pay the bills.
No, what pays the bills. I mean, let's be honest. It's reality.
I mean, yes, it is fulfilling. I love my kids, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But I don't get paid to raise my kids. So
if you would have taken into account what your husband does, what he's able to do because you do the other stuff, right? And you got paid based on the fact that he can make more, then you kind of do get a paycheck because you allow him to break away from those duties and then to make, you know what I'm saying, make more hours at his job. Like for me, I could make more hours. It's just not enough to do at my job. You know what I'm saying? I get everything done and time to go home until the next day.
Yeah.
So my wife works too. She's got 2 jobs because we have a lot of freaking kids, and you know they take money. It's expensive. And,
yeah. I know. That's what I was saying.
I don't think that's fair. You have to feed your kids and stuff like that, but you can be minimal. You could give them like bread and milk, like in the old days, and just give them the very minimum.
Lisa, can I have another? I'm sorry. I cannot imagine my kids being hungry. That's a no-go for me. I would starve before my kids were hungry.
I have to unfortunately disagree with that, Nick. I mean, I see what you're saying. It's so hard though when unless you've got your own self-sustainable means of nutrition, right? Garden, livestock, poultry, egg, whatever. You grow your own stuff. When you go to the grocery store, you all know there's, I'm going to say this loosely, indoctrinated items on the shelves right? We have a list. We have a, let's say Walmart, for example. You go to Walmart, they have all the same stuff. You go in just for the basics, milk, bread, eggs, right? They're in most parts there, you could get generic, but like bread, there's not a generic. It's all expensive. Eggs have gone up. We were talking about this the other day. Milk's gone up, keep going up. But you get so used to, as a society, just running down the store, buying what you need. And then it goes into, okay, the kids like these snacks, the kids like these meals, we like these meals, this is common. You get all the ingredients for, and you meal prep or whatever you do. And before you know it, you're kind of, in a way, not really eating in an exotic way because of the items you buy, but it's just so much easier. It's convenient, and it makes us lazy.
Pretty much.
You know, but if you could say, hey, breakfast for you is oatmeal and toast, and then lunch is a ham and cheese sandwich, and then dinner is going to be whatever we make, and you're going to like it. That's the ideal way to do it, best way to save money. But that doesn't happen in this country. Just doesn't. And then you've got, I'm going to get a little political, just, and I know this is touchy, but EBT, food stamps, benefits. I know there's a need. I get it. And some people actually should qualify for it based on their particular situation, but it should not be long-term, and it should not include any name brand items. When I think that when that first started, and it was actually food stamps, food vouchers, there were very few items you could buy on that. You were really restricted from that. You know, you couldn't buy Cocoa Puffs or T-bone steaks or Hostess cakes. You know what I mean? You couldn't do that. It was the basics. So what happened with that? I haven't done the research. I don't know, because I've never gotten food stamps. I never had them. I don't know what happened. I know, but I do. When we were younger, I was on them. I'm talking about me as an adult. I've never had them, never applied for them. I wouldn't get approved anyway, but for various reasons. But what happened? Rhetorically, what happened? Why did it change to, oh, you can have these certain items like WIC, but now you can have anything you want. Yeah, as long as it's not cooked. From what I understand, you can buy anything as long as it's not cooked. Like, you can't go to the deli and buy a whole chicken. It has to be, unprepared. But it's anything.
You can't buy cooked stuff. I don't know what it looks like now. I know back when my wife had it, when we had our kids, you literally could only get cheese and so much of it. You can get milk.
Yeah.
So much, like, there's only very specific things you could have.
And nowadays, so to answer your question, nowadays it's a credit card, it's a debit card. It's just an amount of money, and it's programmed to not allow you to buy. Like, you can't get cash back. You can't get, you can't buy alcohol. You can't buy tobacco products. You can't buy anything but food you have to prepare. As far as I understand, that may have changed too. I don't know. Maybe you can buy hot plate at the deli or something. I don't know. But last I heard, you could. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off of that. It kind of bothers me that we're allowing kids to eat certain products that aren't healthy.
Yeah.
We're paying for that as taxpayers. It's not that I disagree with the process as a whole. There are things about it I disagree with, like how you can keep it forever. Because there are ways, I'm sure there are ways you can get around, the application process. If you actually don't qualify, you can make it appear that you do. And I would love to see,
that knew the tricks and then the ins and outs.
oh yeah, I would love to see the statistics of what they think the amount of EBT fraud is happening in the United States. I bet it's astronomical.
I bet it's probably not as bad as when it used to be, like regular food stamps, though. Like, I've never, as far as I know, I've never been on food stamps, like not even as a youngster.
I don't know, Mary. I think it's probably way worse. And in retrospect, there's probably way more people on it today than it was when you're talking about.
Yeah,
it.
probably.
So it's going to be inflated no matter what. But I'm talking about.
But I remember people selling their foods. Like, I remember hearing about people selling their food stamps to make cash so that they could go buy, moonshine or whatever. Like, it was.
Well, technically, you could do that too with the EBT card. I mean, think about it. If you needed cash, but you want to, there are some people that are approved for cash back. But I think the majority of them is just food purchases. But let's say you have
get food. I mean, you can get cash back on an
yes,
EBT card.
yes,
Yeah.
certain people.
I didn't know that.
Like, let's give an example. If we go off of the fact, I think that if you have 8 kids or more, you're tax exempt. Like you don't pay taxes. So let's say that's the pivot point. If you have 8 kids and your income is so low, right? You're going to get food allowance on there and cash back allowance to have cash for gas or whatever. It exists. It's there. But you could actually, if you had, let's say you get $300 a month in food stamps and you need $100 cash monthly, you've got a tangible trading thing where you can say, hey, mother-in-law, cousin, whatever, if you'll give me $75 cash, I'll buy $100 worth of groceries for you. Their benefit is the extra $25 worth of groceries.
The second time that we lived in Kentucky, we did not stay there for very long. We were only there for about 6 months, but we were basically given a small house. It was a 2-bedroom house that we could use to come and stay. And they wanted Daddy to, preach for their little congregation. Daddy would not take money from the congregation because they were so small that, they didn't have very much to give. So he didn't want to take money from the congregation. He was trying to find a job the entire time. And I know we didn't get anything. Like Daddy was helping make stuff, like he was being a handyman. He was helping make stuff, make shelves and help fix people's houses and whatever inside the church, but not when it came to time to go to the store. Mama was cutting, she was double couponing. She was getting a Sunday's paper and Wednesday's paper, and we helped double coupon. And there was 6 cold sodas in the fridge that had to last me and Josh a week. But he actually slept in a twin bed at the bottom of Mom and Dad's bed, and I got my own room because I was a girl. But yeah, it was 6 months of no income. No, we didn't use an EBT card or anything. Like we didn't have anything.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that gender specific entitlement?
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Because I was a girl. We love you, Mary.
It was a small room.
Yeah,
and it was that time in a girl's age where,
I can't get that TikTok out of my head I put in line earlier.
Which one?
I don't want to say it.
You don't want to say it? TikTok always gets us in trouble. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. I watched one just before we came on that I won't get into, but it's very interesting. I sent it to you, Nick. I think I sent it to you too, Mary. I'm not sure. But maybe I did. It was interesting. It's more statistics and stuff. But anyway, so I've got a little interesting thing that I found if you want to go ahead and dive into it.
Yeah, what is it?
We can always, I know we got a commercial break coming up in about 10 minutes, but we can always stop and resume after. So I was digging around a little bit, trying to find, research some stuff. And I ran across this predictions of today 100 years ago. So 1923 is when these took place. So there's a guy by the name of Paul Ferry. This took place on Twitter recently. A researcher and instructor of the University of Calgary. He compiled a group of newspaper clippings of various experts back in 1923 that predicted what it'd be like today. There's about 15 or 16, 17 of them. And if you want, we can read through them and kind of talk about, kind of see how crazy that prediction was back then versus today.
This is going to be interesting.
This is going to be, hold your seats, okay? Some of this is really out there, and some of it, it's like, that's very, very pretty smart, weren't they? All right, so this first one kind of confused me, and it kind of elaborated. So what I did is I just bullet point and everything. I'm not going to read the whole article, but these are the things that were predicted back in the day, a whole century ago. Curly haired men, meaning, I guess, more curly haired men than normal. Not real sure what that's about, but there was an expert that predicted a few things. This was one of them, that there'd be more curly haired men.
Really? That's a weird prediction.
Yes. So I have a theory on that.
I know
Maybe
you
it's
do.
Interracial.
Well,
You know,
yeah.
I mean, that could be the only reason why. And I don't, if I offend anybody, I'm not trying to offend anybody,
That's
but let's
right.
think about it. I've got very white, straight hair, you know, but
Your hair
there
is
are
not
other
white.
white ethnicity white. My hair is straight because I'm white. I'm Caucasian.
I'm
Anyway.
white. My hair was kind of wavy, I think. I don't know. I don't have it anymore. I can't remember.
The next one is women will probably be shaving their heads.
Well, I
Britney
mean,
Spears did.
they have.
This is
O'Connor.
a style thing. This is the way that we live, right? This is our lifestyle as a general rule of public. So the way I read this is that it's a fashion to shave your head. Now, that was kind of true in the 90s, like Sinead O'Connor and Britney Spears and all that.
A lot of black women shave their heads.
That's true. That's true. I don't know where that really.
I would think that would have a lot to do with the fact that it's easier when you put a wig on, or
Maybe. Another prediction, same guy. 4-hour work days. So this is all about 2023. There is a lot of talk. This is close to being accurate because there's a lot of talk and a lot of companies have already done it. This 4-day work week thing, and it's a lot of it is a result of COVID. They figured out, like, my company has realized that we can work more from home, more remotely, and still be productive. Now,
So
this is saying
more hours a day in, though, to make up for that day.
Right. So there's two ways that's going down. You work 10-hour days, 4 days a week, or, which is, we'll get you there to the hours, or you just work from home on the 5th day and still make your same hours. This is saying a reduction to 4-hour work weeks or work days. So, I mean, it's not necessarily come to pass. Again, I think it's a majority of the population that this affects, a prediction of that sense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The next one's 300-year-old people.
That ain't happening.
That didn't happen.
No.
Probably won't happen. Watch size radio telephones.
Well,
that happened.
Yeah.
iPhone. I mean, the Apple Watch, whatever it's called. Yeah.
Samsung watches.
Now here's where it gets interesting. Healthier and more beautiful people.
I don't know about that.
I mean, at least in this hemisphere. How about beauty so this kind of rides on that last one. Beauty contests will be unnecessary as there will be so many beautiful people in the world. And also
there was just
no more baby contests.
Beautiful people back then or something.
Back in the
We're
20s,
mostly
yeah.
ugly.
I'd have to say that didn't really come to pass. I don't think.
No.
There are quite a few beautiful people out there. Probably maybe 60%, maybe 30%. I don't know what that is, but yeah, it didn't come to pass. Let's see. Okay, so several things in one. A professor predicted the eradication of cancer, as well as tuberculosis, infantile paralysis, also known as polio, and locomotor ataxia and leprosy. So a lot of those are correct, but a few of them are not. I think there's a lot of wishful thinking in that. But here's the thing. So I remember seeing some information, I don't forget what it was, but they were working on cures for this stuff at the turn of the century. Okay.
Yeah.
And if you believe some of the conspiracy theorists in the whole cancer realm, put it that way, just say with cancer, that we should have had a cure by now, and that there are certain powers that be that are preventing that from being out in the public because of money, then that could actually be true. It's just we don't know it.
No,
We're not getting that. We're not getting that cure.
no, we're not gonna.
Right. Well, those with cancer are not. I don't have cancer that I know of, but let's see what
Can I go
else.
back real quick to the beauty thing? Wouldn't that be subjective though?
It is the eye of the beholder. I mean, yeah. I mean,
Somebody might think there's way more than I do. It depends on what they find beautiful, right?
well, and like the 1920s pinup girls, for example, they weren't what in my lifetime a woman is perceived to supposed to look like,
No,
right? They were like Marilyn Monroe in the 60s. She wasn't the models we've known for the last 40 years. You
it
know, since the
became
80s.
everybody had to be skinny, but back then there was articles about
Curvy
you wanna-
women.
yeah, but
Yeah.
if you want to be pretty,
Yeah.
you need to put on some weight. Basically, is what they're saying back then.
Right. That's a good point. So what do they consider, if they consider healthy and curvy to be beautiful? I would say there's more people like that now,
I'm more curvy.
honestly.
You like all these women who put on the TV that they say this is what beauty is. I don't see it. It's not to me. I don't find it attractive.
And like you said, it's all about perception. So
Subjective, yeah.
I don't know what they were, talking about. Fewer
Next.
doctors.
Huh? Fewer?
There'll be fewer doctors.
Why do they think there'd be fewer doctors?
I don't think that's correct at all. I mean, in the 20s, you had a doctor maybe for a town the size of, let's say, 5,000 people,
Yeah.
something like that, 3,000 people. I'm just guessing. I have no idea if that's correct. Nowadays, you're going to have a practice for a town that size. It's got multiple doctors. So just keep it small.
There's definitely more
But-
hospitals now.
Oh yeah, I think that's a negative there. That didn't work. And okay, the next one, I don't know why they chose this particular noun, but it says maidens, for style reasons, blacken their teeth. Maidens, I guess, women in general. I'm not sure why the maidens was used. Somebody might comment the reason why they did that, but
Probably
blacken their teeth.
single female, like
Maybe that's okay.
women
Maybe
that
that's what
are
it means.
looking, yeah. Because
So
a
blacken
maid
their teeth.
would be like a female that's not married, I would think.
Right.
Blacken their teeth. What the heck? would
I
they
mean,
do?
the only thing I can think of that comes close to that is how you have a lot of these products out. That's a charcoal toothpaste,
Charcoal, yeah.
but it doesn't stay that way. It's just a cleaning process. Or a
Weird.
cleaning choice of product. I don't know. So the average lifespan could reach 100 years. Those certain individuals could make it to 150 or even 200. And then, of course, it goes back to the 300-year-old people. One scientist predicted 300-year-old people.
Well,
So 100, I think 100 is being seen more. I think that's a thing.
yeah.
But there again, they're predicting that a large percentage, if not a majority, of humanity is reaching 100. That's the way I interpreted it, by the way, anyway, but I don't know. What do you think, Nicholas?
There's no way. There's too many things going against us.
Yep. I think if we were allowed, I believe that there's cures for things out there that we're not privy to. I just do. Call me
I do
wrong,
too.
whatever. But I think if those cures were out there, I think we'd see 115, 120. Easy.
But it's hard to be healthy. It's hard to eat healthy. Most people don't have the money to eat perfectly healthy.
True. If we go back to the first conversation we had, I believe that we could probably see 150 if we were eating the right things. So we're doing this to ourselves. We prevent over 100 years. We have prevented, I'd say since the 80s, maybe even earlier, we've prevented that from being a fact. At least the 150 range. I don't see 300 years old. We're not Moses or Noah.
Nope, ain't happening.
It's not happening. Every city will be a spotless town.
Wow.
Every
Nope.
city. In my experience, I've traveled to 23 states, and 90% of the cities, actual cities I've been to, were nasty. It's nasty.
Yeah.
You can't, it's so impossible. There are parts of these cities that were clean, that look good. Majority of that meant the bigger money society, but that didn't happen. That did not come to pass.
Not even close.
Technological and industrial advances will make more parts of North America more habitable, estimating the U.S. population to reach 300 million. We surpassed that. That actually became true.
Yeah.
If you think about it, we're at 335, I think, as a nation. So I don't know if, I mean, yeah, I'd say technological industrial advances did that.
You think so?
Electricity, alternate sources of energy, things like that, you know.
I
Let's stop here.
also think, oh, sorry.
Let's stop here and take a quick ridiculously,
Show them a
profitable
commercial,
commercial.
as it will.
Buy the stuff.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back. Hope you enjoyed it.
I've got to get me one of those.
Well, what are you waiting on?
And by one of those, I mean anything that we just saw.
We need a Beans, Bullets, and Band-Aids t-shirt.
Oh, wait, I thought we had one.
Have a Beans, Bullets, and
We do. We have one that's got the compass.
Oh, you mean we all need one? I see.
Yeah,
what
we
you're
all
saying.
need one.
Oh, he's saying you need to buy one, Mary.
Yeah.
In fact, while you're at it, why don't you buy me one and Nick one and Brandon one?
Yeah, I think I'm the reason that you have that green shirt you were wearing on the podcast the other night.
No.
No, I bought that, ma'am.
What shirt? What is? I don't remember. What's the shirt?
It's a camping shirt, actually.
Oh, I thought maybe it
Oh.
was the Giant
Yeah, it
Bliss
was.
one.
No, it was not the Giant Bliss. But you did buy me one. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Holy.
So back to this list, we're almost done. This next one, if y'all are just tuning in, we're doing a predictions of today that was made 100 years ago, and it's kind of interesting. So this one, I don't know why they put these two items together in a prediction, but they did. And it says utensils and dwellings will be made largely of pulps and cements.
Wait, what?
Utensils and dwellings. So I guess like, I don't know. It says
Utensils and dwellings. Those two things.
Utensils. I'm not reading it wrong. I hope I'm not. UTENSILS. Utensils and dwellings. I know what dwellings are. Homes, whatever. Will be made largely of pulps, like wood pulps. I guess wood. Maybe they mean pulps, like chips. I don't know. And cements. So
What the heck were they made with back then?
Wood frame. I mean, I don't know what they mean by pulps. If somebody knows what they mean by that, and that's sad because I'm in the pulp and paper industry, so maybe they're talking about recyclables.
Paper mache houses.
Probably, which is funny because the print house thing is becoming popular. So I don't know.
There was a time when people were using shingles on the side of their house, like wood shingles. That was really popular.
Cedar shakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm curious the combination of the combination there of pulps and cements. I don't know if that means that they thought we would be living in like a quote unquote mud hut made out of pulps and cements or what, but maybe we ought to be. Maybe that's a protect Mother Earth type prediction. I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
I mean, that
That could
sounds
be
like
good.
what they did back in the dark ages.
I know.
Cement
It's
and
weird.
pulp.
Gasoline as a motive power will have been replaced by, get this, radio, and that the skies will be filled with multiple craft sailing over well-defined routes. Sounds like I'm doing news or fake news, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That's fake. Hey, you know, that's not a thing. So basically, I guess to interpret this, gasoline's gone and replaced by radio frequency as a
Wow.
power.
That doesn't even make any sense.
And we're, you know, the skies will be filled with multiple craft, like sailing craft.
Airplanes.
I don't think so.
No? Well, what else would be sailing craft up in the air?
I don't know. Let's see. The Wright brothers was what, 19 like 07, something like that. 1907, 07. I don't know. It was early on. And then we're talking 1923. Maybe it was after 23. So planes were not obviously popular. There wasn't a lot of them, but maybe they are talking about airplanes. I don't know. That's just a weird
First
prediction.
airplane was in 1903 with the Wright brothers.
There you go. I was off by 4 years. And by the 20s, I mean, they had biplanes, you know, in World War One. So not long after that, they, you know, planes got, anyway, this is not a history lesson. Next one, wireless and paperless communications. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
That's happened.
They have a winner.
We're there. So we've had about, what, 4 or 5 that were pretty close?
Yeah.
I'd say 20%,
Yeah, it's a low percent.
20 to 30.
This one was interesting to me because I don't know. I think this is another thing that, like the flying car thing, by this time we probably should have had this, but you don't think about it. 1,000-mile-an-hour freighter, like ship, like cargo ship, 1,000-mile-an-hour freighter.
Yeah, I don't think we anything goes like that.
Now, unless back then freighters also included rail, which I don't think it did, but it could.
Well, if it did, there's no, I don't know, 1,000 miles an hour.
We don't have one. No, we don't have one that goes that fast. So
that's a little fast.
that's like what?
Could you imagine who the heck?
That's almost Mach 2. I mean,
I just no.
no, we're not there. That's what I'm saying. We're not there. No. We're not there.
Who would
All
even
right,
do that? Look, we got to take this cargo from China to the U.S. We'll be there in 2 hours. No.
Oh, you want your merchandise. You want your yeah, we'll be there in 30 minutes. Yeah. Mental telepathy will exist. I feel like we need to have another psychic conversation. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think that one's a thing. I mean, at all. I don't know anybody that can realistically proven to have telepathy. I think there are sixth sense out there that people can have, but like empathy, you know, that's kind of a form of telepathy if you think about it, but it has to do with emotions and body language. Mary, we've had a couple conversations about that, but
Yeah.
full on telepathy, I don't think I haven't. So last one, Archibald Lowe, the British scientist and author who invented an early version of TV and the first drone, among other things, wrote that the war of 2023 will naturally be a wireless war. I think this is true.
Well, they're using drones and shit.
Well, he's talking about a wireless war, though. They're just saying he invented the early version of the TV and the first drone. That's what he's noted for. So he's established, like he's an inventor. He's intelligent, you know. But he's saying that the war of 2023, which we're only in January, halfway through it, it's not over yet, right? And what do we see like most of the last couple of years? It's all the social media fighting. It's all the bickering online. It's all, so for me, that falls in a wireless war. Or it could, I mean, I guess it could mean be a stretch, but it could mean drone attacks or
which there's been
lasers from a satellite, or I mean, it's wireless. But I think that could, for me, I can recognize it as social media disruption, you know, disorder, that kind of thing, which we definitely see that on a regular basis. And you're separated. You've got two sides of everything. You've got, you know, you got one side against the other side constantly, whether it's politics or race or religion or whatever. So to me, because it involves so many people, so much of the population, that's a war. I see it as a war.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's what he meant. That could be interpreted different ways.
Wonder if anybody knows what he meant.
I don't know. He's smarter than me.
I think genetically, some of these things you could probably make some accurate predictions about.
Yep.
Like I've heard that supposedly there are going to be fewer and fewer redheads, you know, in the future. But
you're hung up on the redhead thing.
Okay, I'm a redhead, so I can't.
Oh, okay. Well, that's why.
I can't see why they'd be unless like all the Irish, Scottish people are just gonna go extinct.
Well, okay, so the redhead gene is a recessive gene. It's not a dominant gene.
Whatever.
No, it's a fact. I'm telling you that.
It's a fact that all Irish people pretty much are redheaded. Most all Irish people.
Okay, but still, when you start mixing, you know, a plethora of different people, different looks, different ethnicities, blah, 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 whatever. Like back to the whole curly haired men thing.
You can't get rid of Ireland or Scotland.
Well,
it's come close several times in history.
I was going to say.
It hasn't happened.
It's come close.
But if you look at me versus my siblings, because there are four of us, you know, I don't really look like my siblings look. They look more Cherokee. They have, you know, really dark, really straight hair, really dark skin, and dark eyes. And yeah, I got the brown eyes because brown eyes is a dominant gene, but I got the recessive redhead gene. So I'm the kid that looked like I got picked up from a Cabbage Patch. Like I look like I'm the adopted kid in my family.
So a little unknown fact about me, when I was growing up, I actually had like tinges of red hair in my hair. I got that from my mom. She's also redheaded. And she's the only one in her family, like you, a family of four, that was redheaded.
When I started growing this, when I started getting facial hair, there was red in my hair, in my facial hair.
My boys, when they were younger, had,
because you're the bloody bomb,
more red, like highlights and red tints in their hair, but that's not their dominant hair color.
I started off blonde as a kid and went dark brown.
Yeah, so did Owen. Owen started off like strawberry blonde. And you'll know what Owen looks like.
Ferris.
This is kind of on the spot here, but based on what we just talked about, I'm curious to know. I'll go first, but I'm gonna ask the question. 21, 23. What is at least one or a couple what you feel like realistic predictions that could be based on any of these categories, right? We just talked about technology, health, population, whatever, that could be something that is likely to be true. 100 years from now. 21, 23.
Holy shit! Thank you.
No problem, man.
I just got a sponge candy delivery.
Look at that. Not a sponsor.
All right, man.
Sweet, thanks.
No problem.
All right, those are big ones too. So out of that
We
list,
need to hire better security guards for your studio, man. I mean, put on air something.
I have an on-air sign. and it
Well, you
lights up.
failed. It should have been outside, so he knew that.
I should have it facing the window, so when they walk up, they'll know I'm doing it. So you're saying any of those, I think, might still be a possibility.
Yeah, try to do better than these people 100 years ago.
Oh, you want me to come up with my own prediction?
Yeah, what do you think, Mary? You're next, so be thinking about it. But
I've
what do
already
you
got
think-
one.
What do you think? It could be more than one. What do you think is maybe the best possible prediction to be true in 100 years about society, about humanity, about, you know, let me throw a little monkey wrench in there. Let's say we don't kill ourselves, like we don't ruin humanity. What's something that might be something to look forward to, even?
If we're still here and the rapture isn't happening in the next couple of years, I don't know. The way things are going with the rest of wars and nuclear and all, we could end up like Mad Max. I kind of see the world becoming more like everybody's third world almost. Living off fighting for the whatever resources are left around. Bug out
I
deals.
have to agree with that. Mary, what you got?
I think there will be smaller families, fewer families that have a large number of children.
I think we're
That's
there now.
already in process, kind of.
Yeah, I think we're there now.
Okay, well, I have a sibling that has 10 kids and a sibling that has 7. So,
Well, I mean,
yeah, but
I'm from a
there
large
are still
family.
some, but there's not a lot.
I'm from a large family, but so
I'm
When I
saying
was-
I think we're going to be more like China. If that makes sense.
regulated. Oh, so you're
Yeah.
saying we're going to be regulated to a
Yeah.
small family?
Yeah.
You're saying we're going to kill female babies that
Or you're allowed to have 2 children max per household, you know,
okay.
kind of a thing.
Ain't that weird?
That very well could happen in the next couple of decades or less, actually.
Well, didn't
If
you
you
have
believe that-
certain politicians talk about in the last, I don't know, during the pandemic, maybe?
Oh, the
about
Great Reset,
families-
less population and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I said it could happen in the next couple of decades at least.
I think there will be a great reset. I just don't think it's going to be the way people think it's going to be.
I just hope it's like a simple turn off, turn back on thing and not like turn off, push the Nintendo game down several times and then take it out and blow on it. And that'd be rough. That'd be a rough ride.
Yeah, it would.
Just reset.
Just reset the thing.
Nobody's going to live through that if that's how, if you got to reset it like a Nintendo game. For those of y'all that aren't old enough to know Nintendo, trust me, it was a joy when your game started getting kind of dirty and stuff. It was just a joy.
Just give me an idea. What if life was like a video game? Maybe somebody knew that, and that's why they started making them. Because you know, video games you get lives, or nowadays you just keep respawning, right? You don't ever die and the game's over. Now most games you just respawn and respawn and respawn.
That's true. Well, you start, yeah, used to, you
What
just
if-
start completely over.
Now I don't believe this because I have my faith. But what if it would have been something like the galaxy was infinity, but there's every planet has people, and if you don't make it here one way and you kick off, you just come back and respawn on another planet and you go again. And you just keep respawning, planet to planet, go again.
Max 40 planets or 39. Mary, that's an inside thing. We were going over this video where a gentleman who was a what was he, Nick? You looked him up.
I don't forget.
Lear, Mr. Lear, Leer. Anyway, he was talking about how there's supposedly
the conspiracy theorist,
yeah,
and he was a
There's actually
big time
40
pilot. He was like a record pilot, something about.
yes, he was a
pilots.
test pilot. That's what it was. He was a test pilot. But he was saying that Earth is one planet, but there are 39 other planets in our solar system, not just
And
9
they're all
total.
civilized.
And yeah, and they're civilized. Like there's population on them. That was a thing he was talking about. That's what that
And our
comes from.
moon was towed where it is, and it's actually a spaceship.
Yeah, it was towed here by another moon. I mean, that's far fetched for me. I'm not gonna entertain all that. I don't know.
I'm not entertaining all.
I'm not entertaining that. Not until I can see an invoice or a towing bill or something. That
Well, you didn't give your prediction, Paris.
So that's a tough one for me because Nick brought up a good point. I do believe that in 40 or 50 years we could be in a third world, a doomsday type situation. Only because history has said and proven over and over again that civilizations much smaller but understood to be massive for their time failed just like that. And I think we've surpassed that limit of size, and we're just on borrowed time. So it could be a year from now, it could be 20 years from now, but I think sometime in our lifetime, I think it's going to be that way. Now, 100 years from now, optimistically, and I feel good about this, I think whether you call it the Great Reset, whether you call it, if you're religious and you call it after post-judgment day, I think that humanity is going to be way better. And I'm in the terms of brotherly love, in the terms of self-sustainability, fill in the blanks with that, if you will.
Happened, I wish I could have been there.
And we're not going to live to see it, you and I won't.
But think
more than
about
likely,
it, dude.
unless a 300-year-old person comes true, but
way back, look at all you have like Babylonians, you had Persians, you had the Romans, like they all became crazy controlling empires, but then they just see you later, gone. Ethiopians, or not Ethiopians.
Ethiopians.
I'm having a brain fart. Come on, help me with this. It's right on the tip of my tongue. Why am I having a hard time?
Egyptians?
The Egyptians. Damn.
Okay.
What I'm getting at is there was all those societies that became big and they controlled everything. And then they're just gone.
Speaking of Egyptians, you know that
Walk like one?
in ancient Egypt, that's where transgender started.
We really got to go there.
No, it's not offensive at all. It's where it started. Because you start out as a daddy and you ended up as a mummy.
There he goes. Wow.
I mean, how is that
I
offensive?
kind of knew that was coming because I've already heard that from his mouth.
It's a good time to go back. Let's try to make some money so I can pay for a legal fee. How about that? Let's have another commercial.
Let's pay for a legal fee. Are we going to tell a dad joke now?
I just did.
The-
Go to commercial.
Okay. We're going to go to a commercial.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Evil. Ferris? Beans, bullets, and Band-Aids.
Beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. That's it.
All right. There you go. Now go buy it.
I'm gonna buy it. Y'all not gonna help this show out. I'm gonna help myself out.
All right.
As long as my wife doesn't see this show.
So I guess Mary's got something for us for this last little
Mary's
bit of
got
minutes we have.
Mary's got something.
Or she gone. What the?
I'm here.
What in the?
So we're playing
Caption This.
Caption this. Okay.
Wow.
See, this is one of those where you can't think of nothing because you're still shocked with the picture itself.
Dude, where's my camera?
Say what? He looks astonished.
Ossifer, I want to report a crime.
Go to the next one.
I caught it all on camera.
Mommy, the goldfish got out.
There's something
wasn't
fishy going
my-
on here.
It wasn't my fault. That's what they always say.
Bubba did it.
Excuse me. Are those fresh nuts?
And you're saying I hide my nuts?
I couldn't resist the squirrel.
What
Why
are
did the
those?
squirrel cross the road?
I've eaten bigger acorns than that.
Okay, are we done with this one?
Mhm.
What the?
Can we just talk about the elephant in the room?
Oh, tough. This one's tough.
I'm just looking for my last stool sample.
How did they even get the elephant? Obviously, there's not an elephant in there, but
No, but
somebody
everything moving
put a
around like
different
he was.
background.
This reminds me. This reminds me, Mary. What do you get when you cross an elephant and a rhino?
Elephino.
Yeah,
Oh,
Elefino.
That might be the last one. Oh no, this one. This one's dumb. Nick saw this one, I think.
This is how you
Happy.
do the watermelon haul.
Well, I'm looking at those shirts and I'm thinking this is back when kids actually played outside.
Right?
This reminds me of what was that show? Was it Radio Flyer?
Radio flyer.
You remember that
Yeah.
that movie?
I hope those watermelons are stout because those kids are definitely gonna wreck.
I think they'd be better off no watermelon helmet at all. Their skull's probably harder than that.
Probably, yeah.
You need a watermelon helmet. Well, what do you think? Cuckoo.
I'm still
Oh.
thinking about these predictions. It's kind of a letdown in some ways.
It's a letdown.
Yeah, some of them are letdowns. Like how cool would it be to have 1,000-mile-an-hour freighter?
How would you? Could you imagine trying to steer that thing? I don't know how that would work.
You wouldn't steer it. You'd point it in the right direction and just hit the gas, and everything you would like radio ahead, get out of the way.
You
I'll
would
be there in
have
30
to
minutes.
know when to start slowing that son of a bitch down, though.
That's-
You're
Think
on
about the
water,
Titanic.
all right? You're on water. How quickly are you going to slow that down?
Well, I mean, realistically, let's say it's from I don't know, pick a state on the eastern seaboard. I don't know. From the eastern seaboard to Europe, it takes what? It's how many miles? 2,500 miles, something like that, 3,500 miles. So I don't know what it is. I have no idea. Anyway, let's just say it's 3,000 miles. That's 3 hours. So the last hour, you'd have plenty of time to slow down to 900, 800, 500, 50, 10. But what gets me is it says 1,000 miles an hour on a freighter, but they don't calculate 1,000 miles an hour. It's 1,000. It's knots, right? So I don't know.
Underwater would be nuts. Yeah,
It'd be knots, but freighters to me that's what I'm hung up on. What do they mean by freighters? A freighter is a ship, but they would measure it in knots, not miles. So I don't know. I mean, it could be nautical miles, but
100 years ago, maybe they meant
maybe
land.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but there's not a freighter on land. So
Maybe
that's
meant
anyway.
like a subway or a railway or something like that.
Yeah.
I know how they could stop that ship from going 1,000 miles an hour quick. They'd have to install jet engines on the front of it, kick those things on.
Or maybe they go wide, like the last 45 minutes, they go wide to the right, go south, If they're going to Europe, go south and then come back up where they're parallel with the coast.
Yeah, there
And
you
they
go.
just have these catapults that shoot out the products to the coast.
Ooh,
Here
as
you
they go by.
Turn around and come back.
Drive by dropping.
Okay. Distance from the United States to Europe is 7,895.1
Woo! Okay.
kilometers, which
It's
is
still gonna-
roughly 4,905.79 miles.
so
About 5,000 miles.
4.5 hours.
Well, it says
Ugh.
8.76 hours to arrive.
I'm talking about at 1,000 miles
On a
an
1,000
hour.
mile an hour boat.
Yeah.
Wait. It says how long to arrive? Like today?
By plane, it would be like 8.76
Oh, plane.
hours
Okay.
to arrive. So, yeah.
Also, what they do? Because even though it's a heavy freighter, you think about these big boats when they're the faster they go, that nose starts coming up.
This thing at 1,000 miles an hour will probably end up being a hydrofoil plane. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
When they're in the water, when they get a certain speed, they're hardly ever in the water at all. That's what it would be. And I'm proud of myself. I can't believe I remembered that term, hydrofoil. They're pretty neat.
It's good to be proud of yourself once in a while.
They had I know every once in a while, like 3 years ago was the last time it happened. But I was watching just this rabbit hole of hydrofoil inventions all the way back to the I guess the 40s, 30s, something like that. They experimented with, for World War II and all that, and they could reach pretty good speeds. The problem is they couldn't turn with the damn. So it's like, how are we gonna turn these things, But if you look at some of the sailboats we have today, they use that technology.
Really?
Yeah, they use hydrofoil technology.
Kind of
In fact, there was a sailboat team, and I'm not going to get any of these little facts correct, but basically the gist of it is they wanted to compete. I think it was an Australian team, and they were competing against the Americans, which the Americans were like #1 for years. And it's this huge sailboat race, like every year they have it. And one of the guys on the team, well, one of the engineers designed a hydrofoil type hull, and they kept it secret for a while. No, it wasn't the hull; it was the rudder, the way they designed the rudder, and it ended up having. So you got the rudder going to the bottom of the hull, like that's the hull. The rudder's coming down, and it had these two fins that went out like this, and it basically lifted the sailboat up out of the water, so it's less drag on the surface. And they were able to go faster than everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
And they kept it secret for a while.
Did they get in trouble for that? Ain't that
They
kinda
did.
cheating?
So it wasn't a rule against it, but they tried to find a loophole. The competitors, the Americans, found a loophole and basically got them disqualified. But then they were able to get back in it and fought it. And I think they won that year, but they did. That's the only year they won, something like that. It's a whole Netflix documentary on it. It's really interesting. If you're an engineer and you like that kind of stuff, it's pretty cool. If you're patriotic and you're big in American sports, then it's not for you because they do lose. But so, it's not like Mighty Ducks or that kind of thing. We lose.
We lose.
Yeah, we lose.
Wow.
Or
They
like
won them all.
most of the early Olympics where Americans couldn't win anything. Do you watch the Olympics at all, Nick?
No.
What about you, Mary?
Some.
I used to kind of start when they had the wrestling a little bit, but
So I was raised around. My sister was into gymnastics and stuff, and like everything. And she's 4 years older than me, so she was a bully. So I had to do whatever she wanted to do, like TV wise or radio, or whatever. She was a bully. Not really.
Are you talking about Ruth?
Yes.
That's
Wasn't gonna
not
say her name,
nice.
but thank you. No, but she would like, God, with music, there are songs that I should not know from New Kids on the Block because of my sisters. Okay, it's just not natural.
so she's why you fell in love with them.
No, she's why I despise them. I mean, any typical 90s male.
I thought you
Didn't
said
like
you
New Kids on the
learned
Block.
it on the guitar.
No, no,
Yeah,
never.
you said you learned hanging tough.
Oh, just the chorus part, not the whole song, because
Still?
I rewrote it as a parody. That's the only reason I wrote it.
Oh,
I
did
mean,
you?
I learned it. Yeah.
Okay,
Anyway, so
there's your
as
say.
far as the Olympics, I got to watching the gymnastics stuffs with her. All the different events, and it was. I enjoyed it. I still do. Sometimes I'll run across it and watch it, but
That's one of my favorite things to watch.
the athletic ability
It is
of
nuts.
of the
That's one of the
gymnasts
bigger
is
things that
just
gets left
crazy.
on if it's around me. Is the gymnastics.
One of my stepbrothers, he's got a small family and all that. He does that. He's a gymnastics instructor, and my hat goes off to him because it's not something that's easy to attain. I mean, it's a lot of work. A lot of work.
What
I was
about
just curious if y'all
synchronized
watched.
swimming?
Never watched it. In fact, the first time I watched any kind of water sports in the Olympics was during the Michael Phelps days.
Really?
When he was when he was competing. I mean, that's it. That's all.
No Greg Louganis.
Nope. Nope.
What about I always forget what it's called. I'll know it, and then I'll go to tell somebody after a while, and I'll always go right back to forgetting.
Bobsled.
No,
The luge.
no, I don't even think it's in the Olympics. It's a Canadian sport. What's it called?
Hockey.
No.
That's one of them.
They got the big round block with the handle, and they go like this, and then they sit there.
Oh,
I can't. I always forget what it's called.
if you hadn't
Shuffle.
Give me-
No, it's
I don't. I have a
y'all
word
better
in my
comment
head.
the name because we may not get this the entire rest of the show, but I know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about.
There was a comedy movie made out over it several years back. What is that called?
Oh, it's eating me alive.
Anyway,
I'm looking. Curling.
I knew it.
There
I
it
was
is.
afraid to say it.
Curling. You were
Curling.
afraid to say it?
Yeah, I was like, what if I'm wrong? I'm gonna be an
Would
idiot.
people find that offensive? Like
Okay,
all the extra curly headed men that are around nowadays.
I literally typed in ice shuffleboard and it came up
Yeah,
Olympic
curling.
curling.
That's not the first time somebody's used
So it
that
wasn't
alternative
Olympics.
name. Yeah, it's Olympic. It's Olympic.
That was
sport.
a weird sport. I used to watch that.
It's a weird sport.
Think about it. They get real calculated with it. They're like, hold it, let go.
It's a train. Look, that sport is put on TV for the new Rumbas that are going out in the field to learn. It's a training video.
It's a Rumba training video.
Just follow the cleaning session, okay? That is a weird sport, though. So in 2005, early 2005, we ended up going to Calgary, Canada, for an awarded trip through my ex-wife's company, and we were up there for like 4 or 5 days, and we got to see some of that area, really nice area, and they have a pretty good sized Olympic training facility. The time of year we went, I think it was like May, so there wasn't any snow at all. It was like springtime, but they had a practice high jump for the Winter Olympics, and it was a high jump, and all the way down they had this green styrofoam looking egg crate, real thick material. That way the athletes could still practice year round. They had an indoor luge track, whatever you call it, bobsled, all that stuff. So we got to see a lot of the facilities, how they train. Yeah, it was pretty neat.
Speaking of egg crates, one right at the end here, since we're supposed to be going back into the Smule stuff, I forgot something that people did, and then I watched. Linda had like a movie, I think it was, on the other day, and there was this guy that did a podcast, and he had his walls covered in egg cartons because people think you can use that for. I wonder if that really works at all
for sound deadening and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It works.
Think so?
It depends on. So there's different thicknesses of those egg cartons, those styrofoam.
He had all the cardboard ones.
That would work. Yeah, that'd work. It's not so much the material, I think. And if somebody wants to comment, tell me I'm wrong, go ahead. But
Might
I
have to
looked
do
at
it
it.
because it's shaped like that.
It's the different angles of the, you know, the crests and valleys. I think it kind of, I don't know. I don't think it's so much the material, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Well, I think we're here, brother.
Yeah, we're here. We survived another one. You survived another one with me as your guest host.
You did fine, my friend.
You're a strong individual.
I don't know about that.
Brandon, if you watch this, go back.
Like, subscribe, comment. Tell some people that you need to go watch this and see how stupid they are. Go to the link tree. There's Shopify, all kinds of stuff in there.
That's right. If you don't want to actually buy something, donate something. We'll take that too.
That's right. With that, we will see y'all next time.
I promise Brandon will be back soon. Later.
Later.